Hello everyone and welcome to our webinar today. I'm Nicola Pogson, Head of Alumni Relations at Imperial College Business School, and I'm very pleased to welcome today Janine Waldman, Executive Coach, Consultant and Facilitator at Solutions Focus. So welcome Janine.
Hello, hi Nicola. Hello everybody.
A little bit of background on Janine, and then I'll also just talk a little bit about this webinar as well. So Janine has 20 years of experience in coaching, training, consultancy and organisational development, having held senior HR positions in the UK and New Zealand before becoming Director of Coaching and Change Consultancy, the Solutions Focus. She works with individuals and organisations to bring about, I quote, positive change and to implement constructive and resourceful ways of working. Recent projects include developing a coaching culture at John Lang Integrated Services, upskilling fairness at work advisors at Northampton Police, and a 2-year project with Reading Borough Council introducing solutions-focused working. Janine has an international coaching practice and is co-author of Positively Speaking, the Art of Constructive Conversations with a Solution Focus, and she also has done quite a bit of work at Imperial College. So again, welcome Janine, and I just want to say a few words about the webinars. We offer professional and career development support through our webinars to alumni wherever they are around the world. Do remember that you can always book an appointment with our careers service if you want any careers advice, update on your career strategy, input on your CV, mock interviews. That support is there and you can book it via our website. Today we're delighted to welcome over 50 alumni who have registered from all over the world. A big welcome to everybody. Do remember that this webinar will be recorded, so you'll have the opportunity also of listening again later, and we will be sending out the PowerPoint presentation as well. Towards the end of the webinar, you'll have an opportunity to ask Janine questions. We'll hold these to the end, where there'll be the opportunity to ask those questions via the Q&A function, and she'll be happy to respond to any questions you may think of after the webinar is over. Also, we'll be trying out some interactive tools today in WebEx, so please bear with us if they go wrong. Hopefully they won't, they're not too complicated. And I want to hand over to Janine to share us your insights.
Okay. Thank you, Nicola, and hello and welcome to everybody. Thank you for joining us today. It's actually a surprisingly sunny day in London, so you're enjoying that, and I hope it's nice wherever you are. And welcome to our session for today, how to make your people more effective through solutions-focused coaching. What we're hoping to achieve today is I'm going to introduce you to solutions-focused approach to coaching and an overview of the OSKAR coaching model. We'll share some tools and also some techniques that you can apply in your work as coaches, managers and consultants, and also explore how taking a solutions-focused approach can save you time and help you deliver results. And our plan for the next hour together. Firstly, I'll talk about solutions-focused coaching, where it comes from, and give you some context to this approach. Then we'll look at conversations as a unit of change. We'll see how we can look at conversation as being a unit of change. We'll compare problem talk and solutions talk, and this is possibly or perhaps the hallmark of solutions-focused approach. And it's the bit that actually shows the difference that solutions focus has to perhaps other approaches to conversations and coaching. We'll look at the theoretical model that underpins this, and if we have time, we'll have a coaching taster experience. And then we'll answer your questions, whatever it is that you would like to ask about what you've heard. And now, it'd be very helpful to find out a little bit about you. You've heard about me, so I am going to find out a little bit about you. And we're going to try this by using the hands up function that you all have. And that is just below the participant panel on your screen. So we're going to practice this. So if you can find the hands up button on your screen. If you could press it and just put your hand up, that would be really helpful. Yep, I've got Sarah, James, Joe, that's great. Anyone else putting their hands up for me? Yep, that's really good. Anyone else found the button? Okay, thank you very much. And if you could put your hands down, that would be great as well. Thank you very much for having a go. And now I'm going to ask you some questions that go with that hands up. So if you can please put your hand up if you manage people in whatever context. That's quite a considerable number of you. Thank you very much for that. And oh, even more. Thank you. And put your hands down again then, that's great. And now if you can put your hands up if you are an external consultant, so you're external to an organization, you're working in whatever capacity as it is outside of an organization, maybe consulting inside. Oh, thank you. We have a couple of people doing that on the line. And now really curious about your coaching experience. If you currently coach people in any capacity, either at work or perhaps you do some coaching outside of work, sports coaching, anything beyond that. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we have some coaching experience in the room, which is really nice, so you can build on that as we work together. And my final question. Have you been coached? When you think about your work, your experience, either in work, in your personal life, anywhere that you have been coached? Oh, thank you. And we have quite a few people who have been coached, which is excellent. So there's quite a lot of experience, knowledge on the call today. I'm hoping to build on that. And you can put your hands down now. Thank you very much. And a question for you. In coaching, it's important that we find out what people want. And in this session, that's something that I would like to ask you. So the question for you is, if there was one thing you could have your people, and that's the people that work for you, or perhaps it's your clients or the people you interact with, be more effective at as a result of coaching, what would that be? And please can you write that in the chat box, which is in your screen, and address it to me. So where it says send to, if you can send it to Janine Waldman. So take a moment and jot down the things that you would like to have your people be more effective as a result of coaching. I'll give you a few moments to write that down. So we have someone writing in saying that they would like their people to be more proactive and take ownership. Yes, absolutely. Managing work life, their work, and I just can't see that, hold on. Communication, absolutely. Managing their workload and priorities. Thanks, Sarah. Communication. Okay. And we have other people who are interested in helping people deal with conflict and people being more productive. Thank you very much for all of your responses. Okay, so thank you for those responses. So a lot of common themes there about helping people to be more proactive, communicate better, and manage their workload and priorities. And that's useful because we're going to address some of those things that can help you do that today. We're working with an approach called solutions focus. It's very useful to find out if any of you have come across that before. And we now have a poll to find out what you have done before. So the poll I'm just going to bring up here for you that you can see. And I'm now going to open the poll. And it asks you to put down what we know about solutions focus. So if you've read my or other books on that, please tick it. If you've been on a course or seminars on solutions focus, maybe you've heard of solutions focus, or maybe you've not heard of it until today. So please cast your votes, and you can answer obviously one or even more than one of those questions if they are relevant to you. That's nice for somebody who's read my book. Thank you very much. And we have some people who've not heard of it until today. So it seems from the responses we're getting that there's a few people who have not really heard of solutions focus much until today, and a few people who read books about it. I'll leave that there for a few more seconds. If there's anyone else who wants to cast a vote, please do. Thank you very much. So I'll now share a little bit about solutions-focused coaching for you and give you an insight and introduction to what it's all about. Solutions focus sits within a landscape of positive approaches to change. There are a number of these now in organisations, and you may or may not have come across them, but it gives it some context. Firstly, we have positive psychology, the work of Martin Seligman, who turned the world of psychology a little bit on its head. Instead of finding out why people were depressed, he started to explore and try and explain what made people happy, because he found out that they'd like to be happy more of the time than depressed. Strengths-based work, that of Marcus Buckingham, looking at people's strengths and how they can build and enhance them rather than focusing on their weaknesses. Appreciative inquiry, the work of David Cooper Ryder, who used appreciative questions, who does use appreciative questions, to work with large groups to engender change. And then positive deviance, which some people may or may not have come across. And this is Jerry Stern, who did a lot of work in communities, and he'd look for where things were working. So, for example, in a famine area, he'd look at the children who were surviving and find out what their mothers were doing and how they were feeding them. So he looked for things that were working in what were difficult situations. And then we have solutions focus, which also fits into this positive landscape of change that's being applied in organisations today. And we have a quote: "The art of being wise is the art of knowing what to overlook." And this really explains solutions-focused thinking. It suggests that what we pay attention to, or what we overlook, and therefore what we choose to pay attention to, makes a difference. And in solutions focus, we choose to pay attention to people's resources, their attributes and strengths, and overlook failure, weaknesses and deficits. It's important here that we make the distinction about the word overlook. It means we overlook it rather than ignoring. We're aware of people's problems, we just choose to pay attention to other things. Solutions focus can be defined as a set of tools and principles. We can clarify what's wanted, we can discover resources, and when we've discovered resources, we can decide what to do. And that fits in with people who are looking to get their people to take responsibility and take action, because we're looking to find out how we can get people to find out what is the best step forward for them. Often described as finding what works and doing more of it. It's the rigorous pursuit of finding what works, even in tough situations. And a simple, effective approach to change, so it's applied in changed circumstances. For those of you who like to have rigour in the approaches that you work with, there has been extensive research carried out in the therapy field, because it has its roots in therapy, controlled studies, and they show that solutions focus is as effective as most other approaches, but quicker. So people get results more quickly, so less conversation gets quicker results. It also shows that by taking a positive approach, people get less burnt out. So if you think about that for yourselves as managers, the difference in having a resource-based conversation versus a difficult problem-focused one. And in organisations, there's a lot of case studies, and specifically the one measurable one is in craft factories in Sweden, where there is a published study that shows that solutions-focused working significantly improved production. A little bit of where this methodology comes from. It draws on the work of Gregory Bateson and systems thinking, and also the therapist Milton Erickson. The founders of Solutions Focus, Steve DeShazer and Ingsu Kim Berg, built on this work, and they challenged the work of therapists who always analysed problems first. They started their therapy, instead of analysing a problem, with finding out what people wanted. So, for example, if they worked with people who drank a lot, instead of exploring why they did that, they would ask them what they wanted. And they would say things like, I want to spend more time with my children, or have more money. And they found that they got results more quickly. Organisations then picked up on this approach, and we have solutions focused as it is known now and used in organisations around the world. And it can be applied to many approaches, which you can see here. That's coaching, leadership, team, and strategic planning. But we are going to focus on coaching today, and I'm now going to talk you through the OSKAR coaching model. And here is the model. I'm going to talk you through it, and if you would like, in the chat model as I talk, if there's anything that you notice about it, any differences, do feel free to post, and I'll ask you to do that at the end as well. So this is the OSKAR coaching model. It's a model that was put together on request from Walker's Snack Foods. They wanted their managers to have a tool that could help them have conversations that would help their people think for themselves, take ownership, and cover all their ideas. So this was put together for them, and then it was applied through PepsiCo. And now, as I said, it's used in many organisations. O stands for outcome. And this is examining what it is that a person or the client wants in detail, so that they know what they want and when they have achieved it. So that is our outcome. Scale. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is the outcome, what's wanted, and 1 or 0 is the opposite, we'll ask the person, where are they now on that scale? So there'll be a number between 0 and 10. After outcome and scale, our next step is know-how. And this is finding out from the person how come they are as high as they are on the scale. So, for example, if someone said they're at 6, our temptation might be to say, well, why aren't you at 7, or how come you're not at 10? But instead, we're very curious about what it is that's got them to 6. So we'd say, what is it that's got you this high? What is it that you know? What is already working in relation to what you want? A stands for a couple of things. Firstly, for affirming, and here we'd offer compliments to the person we're coaching based on what they've heard and what they are impressed with. And A is for small actions, where the coach will ask the client for small steps. We're big fans of small steps that they can take that will move them in the direction they want to go. And review can happen at the end of the conversation or as we start again, because as we know, coaching and conversations are an ongoing process. And that is an overview of our OSKAR coaching model. And as I've read through that and just given you some overview of that, if you have any comments on the model, what's different, or even what's interesting to you, please write those in the chat box now. Okay, well, thank you very much for some of those comments that we're getting through. I'll come back to those later as we go through the next slides. Now, yeah, we have a comment that it's outcome focused. Absolutely, it's on what we wanted, and it's a simple way to measure. You're right, it's very much used as a way to measure where we are and taking progress. So it has that measurement built in, and the scale is very useful for that too. So thank you for your comments, and I'll keep reading them as they come through. Now, OSKAR as any other coaching model, is a tool set, and something that you can use and apply as a conversational tool. And we're now going to look at the nature of conversational tools, and specifically at the nature, we're going to look at the nature of tools and then specifically at the nature of conversational tools. What do we know about tools? Well, we know that you pick them up and use them for a while, and then you need to also know what it does or what it even might do. How to use it, and this introduces the question of skill, because having a tool is one thing, we need the skill to use it. We need to know when to pick it up, and equally important, we need to know when to put it down. We can ask what makes a good set of tools, and there are some specific criteria here. One is that they can be used for many jobs in any circumstance, so they're flexible, and they're relatively easy to use and carry around. And this is also true of conversational tools, and we can view, as I said, solutions focus as a conversational tool. So if solutions focus is a conversational tool, it begs the question, can conversations change things? So think about the conversations you have day in, day out. Can they change things? Suppose we apply certain tools to these conversations. Can we make a difference? And we'd like to hope that they can. And not only hope that they can, there is also quite a bit of research that supports this, which I'm going to share with you now. Janet Bavelas did a lot of research into microanalysis. She looked at the detail of language and the difference that had on people. And she worked with a group of postgraduate students, and they were given a very difficult task to do. So a lot of them didn't do so well on the task. They were interviewed after the task about how they would do it next time, or their reflections on how they would apply it next time. And this shows, the way she did this shows that every question can make a difference, because for half of the group, she asked them positive questions. They were specific and future-focused. For example, as you can see there, she said, which of your skills will you be using to help you do this task well next time? The other half of the group, she asked them a different question. She asked them a negatively focused question that was global or abstract and focused in the past. And she said, what do you think was responsible for you getting a bad score? Two groups, two different questions. They did the test again, and as you may have guessed, the students who were given the positive interview did much better the second time round than the students who were given the negative interview. So every question can make a difference. Not only can every question make a difference, but every word can make a difference. And language can impact on performance. So think about this as you want to impact on the performance of your people. Research was carried out with some elderly people, and they were asked to walk a certain distance. And they were timed as to how quickly or how slowly they walked that distance. The first time they made the trip, there were words just in the environment, not even said directly to them, but maybe on posters in the wall or in conversations around them. And these words were old, slow, and feeble. And guess what? The time they walked this distance was very slow, and in fact, they became old, slow, and feeble. Same people, same distance, but this time there were different words in the environment, on posters or in the conversations around them. The words were wise, knowledgeable, and experienced. And, as you might not be surprised to hear, these people walked the distance much more quickly with a spring in their step. So language can make a difference. Every word can make a difference. And you might like to think about the words that are in your environment, the conversations you have, and how that might potentially impact on the performance of yourself and those around you. Another example of words making a difference. People were given a cereal bar and asked to score how tasty it was. Now you'd think you'd know if you liked a cereal bar or not. When they were given a bar and told that it was a chewy cereal bar, they said they liked it much more than when they were given a bar and told that it was a chewy cereal bar that had soy in it. Same bar, different description. And this is the same with chocolate cake. People consistently scored chocolate cake that was described as Belgian double chocolate cake higher than cake that was simply described as chocolate cake. Now this is the same cake, so a word can make a difference. And this is what we're suggesting, that conversation is a fundamental unit of change, and if you change the conversation, then you change everything that surrounds it, or there's every chance that you'll change everything that surrounds it. And this brings us into the realm, as we were talking about coaching conversations and different conversations with the people that we have. So how does this all work for solutions-focused coaching in practice? Let's look at an example of where one of our colleagues was doing some coaching. Our colleague was working with a senior executive in an organisation, and she was having problems with panic attacks. Now, she'd sought help elsewhere and nothing had helped. These weren't good for her, personally or professionally. She wanted them to stop. Now, if we'd taken a classic problem-focused approach, we'd probably be asking some problem-focused questions along the lines of, what causes these attacks? When are they at their worst? Suppose they continue, what bad things might happen? Is there anybody else in your family that has these kind of issues or problems? But our colleague didn't ask that, because he knew she tried all sorts of things and been asked these questions before. So instead he asked her, when don't you have panic attacks? When do you not have panic attacks? And she'd not been asked this question before, and she came up with 3 answers. She said, when I'm on the phone, when I'm eating, and on Thursdays. Now, the coach instantly picked on Thursdays as a point of difference and asked her what was different about Thursdays. The only thing she came up with was that on Thursdays, instead of eating lunch at her desk, she would meet her colleague who was in the next office building, and they would go for a walk together around the park if the weather was nice, but they definitely eat lunch outside the office. As a result of this, she decided to take a small step of going for walks or going out for lunch with her friends more often. Now, would she have reached the same conclusion if she'd gone down the problem route? We don't know. But it is unlikely that she'd have got there so quickly, directly, and comfortably for herself if we'd gone down a problem route. So solutions focus is often called the direct route to change or progress. And we can see here that the crucial difference is as presented here. In problem focus, we analyse the problem. That was the traditional route. We go down the problem. What's not working? Why is it not working? And in solutions talk, we're more interested in what is wanted. What is the person aiming to achieve? What's already in place that works? And what might be the benefits of moving forwards, and what might be next? What's a small step? So we're contrasting problem talk with solutions talk. And now I'm going to invite you to have an experience that will enable us to, for that contrast to become even more clear to you. I'm going to invite you to pick an issue that you think a quick solutions-focused conversation might help you make progress with. Now, as you pick that issue, bearing in mind it's a short while, On a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is it's something that is not very significant or important to you, and 10 is that it's the biggest issue that you are facing, pick something on that scale that is about a 3 or a 4. Now for me, I have a proposal to write at home that's taking a bit of effort, so that would be a 3 or a 4. It's something that I would like to be a little bit better at, and something that is bugging me at the moment that I think a coaching session might help me with. So, pick an issue that you think solutions-focused coaching might help you with. And now I'm going to share with you, ask you 2 contrasting sets of questions. You can answer them in your head, or you can say them out loud, or whatever is appropriate given the environment you are in. You may even want to write them down. And first, I'm going to, focusing on your issue, going to ask you some problem questions. We're going to start with problem talk. What's the issue? Jot down your answers or write them out, say them out loud, or just think about this. Given your issue, what's wrong with what you're doing? Why are you doing so badly at this, whatever this issue is? And taking this further, what is the main cause of your difficulty in particular? Whose fault is it? Who's to blame? And as you think about your issue, what are the other things that make it difficult? And why will it be difficult for you to do any better at this thing? Let's pause there in our thinking about the issue and consider where has this conversation taken you? And what are you thinking about now about your own capability of dealing with the issue? And what are you thinking about the problem itself? Just take a moment to reflect on where that has taken you. And remember that so that you can compare this with your thinking at the end of the next set of questions. Let's contrast that now with a different set of questions. So you're going to be focusing on the same issue, but we're going to answer a different set of questions. What is it you are aiming to achieve? How will you know that you have achieved it? What was the best you ever did at this thing? So what was the best you ever did at achieving this, or a skill that you used, or when you've done well in this? What went well on this occasion, on the occasion where you're at your best? And moving forward, or looking forward, what will be the first signs that you're getting better at this, that you are making progress? And if it's relevant and appropriate for this particular topic, how will other people notice this improvement? Perhaps your colleagues, your team, your friends. What would they notice that would tell them that you are making progress? Once again, note down or take note of where this conversation has taken you in respect of your feelings of confidence to tackle it, your resources, your ability to take it forward, and also now how you view the issue. Take a moment to reflect on what's the difference, and if you want to post something in the chat box, that's fine. What was the difference in your experience? And there's also a way for us to do this, so we're going to have a hands up as well. So, when you contrast the problem talk and solutions talk, in the second set of questions, thanks, someone's posting that they felt better about it after the second set of questions, which is often the response that we get. So, hands up if during solutions talk you felt that you made more progress. Oh, we've got a few hands up there. Yeah. Okay. And thank you. And if you put your hands down, that's great. If you felt that you took more ownership for the issue or the topic and less blame, so you weren't blaming other people, but you were taking ownership. We have some hands up there as well. And we talked about this earlier. Some of you were saying, how do we get people to take responsibility and accountability for their actions? Thank you very much. If you can put your hands down. And if you experienced a sense of possibility in the second set of questions versus the first. Yeah, quick responses there. A lot more responses there as well. Thank you very much. And you can put your hands down. So people often tell us that with solutions talk that they make more progress. In the first set of questions, they feel that the problem becomes big, they don't know what to do, and they get stuck. With solutions focus, they tend to take ownership, get clarity on what they want, and it gives them hope. Not everybody knows exactly what they want to do after these questions, but they have more hope, they're more optimistic, and they feel more resourceful and potentially more confident. So it's worth thinking about how it can be useful if the people you work with and for, or work for you, are more confident in their own ability to achieve things. And we can look at this at a higher level that shows the difference between the two. And with problem focus, it's often important to diagnose the problem, know what causes the problem, and then use this information to address the problem. And in this, center stage is the problem, and that's what we're talking about. It's as if we put a magnifying glass on it and made it bigger. Now, this is classic problem solving and works if we've got a simple system. So for example, if your car breaks down, you don't want the person in the garage to say, so tell me, when was the last time it worked? You want them to fix your car. But in a complex system where we have people, we're offering an alternative here. And this is where we can, instead of analyzing the problem, we can recognize the solution. So what it is that somebody actually wants, not the answer, but what it is they want. So our panic attack lady wanted a day without panic, a clear day. We can then find counters or things that are working in relation to what's wanted. So what is it the person knows? What resources do they have? What attributes do they have? What's perhaps worked before? And then we can build the solution. And this means that the problem hopefully vanishes, or at least becomes smaller and less manageable. And here we have somebody delivering the world's very first wheel. The philosopher Wittgenstein said, "We learn by rearranging what we know." And this is the stance that's taken in a solutions-focused coaching conversation, where we're finding out what's known, and maybe even between us, we can work out how to do things. So think about what you already know, and think about what the people around you know, and what difference it would make if you just rearrange that a little bit, so you're having slightly different conversations or putting attention on slightly different things. And now we have the solutions-focused model, which I'll talk through briefly. So this shows us how solutions-focused fits in a theoretical way. The orange dot shows us where we are at the moment. To the left of the screen is the past, and the right of the screen is the future. In a problem-focused environment, we have a problem in the past, and then we have what is known, or what we're calling, the dreaded future. And our problem-focused questions are where we think about everything that went wrong to get us to this point. And then we continue the conversation that goes along the lines of, and if we carry on doing that, this is the terrible things that will happen. And in our solutions-focused conversation, we did something different. We kept the this is where we are, and then we found out what was wanted, what was our desired future. And then instead of going, this is where we are and this is where we're going to, or taking a problem track, we ask different questions. We find out what skills and resources do we have, what do we know that is going to help us go in the direction that we want. And rather than going straight from where we are to where we want to get to, because if we could do that, we would probably be doing it already, we take a small step in the right direction. And taking a small step means that if things change, then we can move. Taking a small step also means that people can try things out. So there's value in taking a small step rather than large, heroic ones. And therefore, the solutions-focused coach's main is the aim of the solutions-focused coach is to shift between the axis. So shift from dispiriting and problem-focused questions onto solutions-focused axis. And that's what the OSKAR coaching model does. We have the OSKAR coaching route again, and it's unlikely that we'll have time, we're not going to have time to go through it here for you to have an experience. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post out after this a detailed set of questions for you so that you can try this out for yourself and with your colleagues and see how that is for you. So that will give you an experience of OSKAR in your own time, either with yourself or you could coach somebody else. So we're bringing together solutions-focused coaching, and as I said, it's been used in many places and organisations. And here are a few examples of where it's been used. So John Lang Integrated Services has been using this for 5 years. And we have Tim Greer there, the Managing Director, who talks about solutions focus and how it's helped him. And you can read that, there's quite a few words, but he says it's contributed to the overall aims of the organisation. And he says it's been successful, but more importantly, he summarises up his view on the difference solutions-focused coaching makes to his people by saying this: it takes away the bullshit and waffle and cuts to the chase, while still recognising success at the same time. Then Andrew Foley from he's the NHS General Manager of NHS Grampian. You can read this again in detail, but he is saying here that solutions-focused thinking helped him weave positive delivery into his work and achieve things in a very difficult environment, as I'm sure you're aware the public sector is at the moment. And he says that having a positive conversation based on what works well and what is possible is the right thing to do. So that's his view. And he simply had 3 coaching conversations. So he made a change very quickly. And now I'm going to just show you a brief video, hopefully. We worked with Reading Borough Council for 2 years, and this is a project introducing solutions focus into their organisation. And here we have Michael Coughlin. I'm hoping you can see this and hear it, who is talking about taking this approach. So what happened is he had a lot of people having solutions-focused conversations. We developed champions, and they spread this approach right through the council. And here is him talking about what happened. I'll just pause that a second and see if we can get some sound on that. Can you raise your hand if you can hear that at all? Oh, you can hear it. That's fine. I can't. Okay, we'll pause there because for some reason the sound isn't working, so I do apologise. I can see that some of you can hear it, but some of you can't, so we'll come back to that later or do something with it. So, that's Michael anyway, and the short version of what he's saying, and you can see it on our website, which I'll leave the link for you, is he's saying that it helped people deal with some of the difficult problems that they'd had, and that it contributed to them, and that they decided to take this into the community. And it contributed to them improving their overall performance as a council. So that, you might want to be thinking of questions that you have now for me about this. And really just to summarise, we've looked at solutions focus and solutions focus coaching in context. We have looked at conversation as a unit of change and how changing a word and even a conversation can make a difference, contrasted solutions talk and problem talk, and looked at the solutions focused model, which gives us some the theory based here. Some things for you, in a moment there'll be some questions, but we have some things for you, which is that I have an executive guide. It's a 32-page e-booklet, and it gives you lots of tips and tools on how to build engagement, resilience and performance. And do email me at the address below, Janine Waldman, if you would like to, and I'll send that to you. There's some books if you'd like further reading, and you can also see details below of how we can work with you. We've got an open program, bespoke programs and also coaching. So thank you very much, and that now leads us to see if there are any questions. Please post them in the chat box. Oh no, please post them in the Q&A box. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, Janine. One question that came through beforehand about the webinar topic was, does that mean that we don't talk about problems, but we just talk about solutions?
Actually, that's a question we get asked a lot, and it's not that we don't talk about solutions. What it is we allow the people we're working with to talk about their problems, and that's fine. But as a coach, what we don't do is ask and get curious about them, because it just makes them bigger. We get curious about what it is they want, what they're doing, what's working for them, instead of analysing the problem. So no, we let the people we're working with talk about problems, but what we won't do is ask about them or get curious, because we find that they get bigger.
Okay, and I suppose another question is this just about positive thinking, which has been quite criticised, I think, in some books and in the press. So how do you feel about that?
Well, I think the positive thinking has a negative connotation to it. And it's not just positive thinking. As you can see, Solutions Focus started with therapists using it on the toughest cases. So they were working with alcoholics, people who had abused their children, all sorts of terrible things, and they use this in a very pragmatic way, so it's way beyond positive thinking. It's an approach that is grounded in research and has practical tools and applications that can be applied.
Fine. We've got a question that's come in and just said, is it possible to display the solution-focused questions again on the slide? So if we get, are you able to go back?
I can.
And whilst you're doing that, somebody who's asked, does the solution-focused coaching work best in a one-to-one, one-to-one situation, rather than an open forum where cynicism or negativity could easily sabotage a plan?
What a nice question. It works very well in one-to-one, and that's actually obviously where it has its roots, which is in the therapy and coaching world. But we have used solutions focused on a team level and an organizational level. So the tools in detail, what we do is we spend a lot of time finding out what people want in groups. And we've discovered that if you sit down with a group of people and ask them to start sharing resources with each other, what they like, what's going well, it changes the conversation and tone in the room. We've run a number of team development days and strategy days with organisations where they thought progress couldn't be made. And by working with a group, you can actually generate or harness that energy that comes from a positive conversation. And often people are relieved to be having a different kind of conversation. It is a case of pace, so go slow with the group, and it's skillful to shift a group up from that axis. It makes a massive difference in an organisation.
Thank you. Apparently that's not the slide that's been looked for, so whilst you're looking for the slide that someone else has asked for. As with all things, shouldn't the approach be a mix between both the problem method and the solution-focused method? Otherwise, we won't we be just tackling the symptoms?
Shouldn't be a mix between both. Obviously, this is a choice for you, and if what you're doing is working, then I suggest yes, you keep doing it. I guess it depends what you're trying to achieve. Often we look at it as if you want to analyse a problem and that's important to you, then do that. Solution focus offers an alternative, and it's not just solving the symptoms. So think about the panic attack lady. She had panic attacks, they went away and they didn't come back. So somehow along the line it had fixed the cause, even though we didn't need to know what the cause was. So it's a choice, but solutions focused working does seem to tackle the cause even though we don't talk about it, because we're looking at what's wanted and building what's wanted, and somehow that seems to diminish the problem.
Thank you. And there's another one. How long does it take to see some positive results with using this tool? And are there any other tools or techniques that can be used to complement the OSKAR approach?
You can get results really quickly. We have now started working with organisations, and we've introduced jam sessions, and they're called just-a-minute sessions. So we think that by asking a couple of the questions, actually that you can see on the screen now, make a difference. So when someone comes to you with a problem and they say, I've got a problem, instead of analysing that problem, we could say something like, oh, what would you like instead? And straight away, you've changed the tone of the conversation. So as I said, solution focus has been shown to get results quicker, and it works as a coach. So people have single sessions or single sessions and follow-on sessions. So yeah, you can get results very, very quickly, and that's why it moved from the world of therapy into organisations where people are busy, they don't have time, and they need to move things on quickly without getting stuck. And are there any other tools and techniques? Yes, there are. There's a whole toolkit and a whole set of techniques. They are covered in the book that I referenced there, which is Positively Speaking. Also, I will send out some other resources. There's a Ning site, which has got every single book that you might like to look at that's been written on solutions-focused working. So yeah, there are other tool sets, principles, and a whole edition, so I'll make sure that they are sent out as a follow-up so that you can look at that. And I'm also happy to answer if there's anything particular, do let me know if you've got any specific questions beyond that.
Thank you, Janine. I think the questions are starting to slow down there. I would say that Imperial, they offer it 1.5 hour quick sessions on this to people from across the college who want to sign up, and that's quite a useful approach. And a reminder for those who've done the longer workshops of the technique. So there are many ways to approach this and then take it back to your workplace. Thank you everybody for joining us today and for bearing with us on the various tools. I think they work. That's the first time we've introduced so many, and I hope you enjoyed it. There is a survey that comes up directly as a result of the end of the session, so it will come up on your screen. Please give us your feedback. We always want to get that feedback, so it only gives us just take an extra few minutes. Got some nice compliments here already coming through, so thanking us and saying it was a wonderful introduction. So thank you, Janine, for those insights. And if you don't have the chance to fill in the survey immediately, please do it. It will be emailed to you. We will be sending you all the bits and bobs with the references, the books. Do remember that you can re-listen to this if you need to, and if you have any ideas, maybe we could do a virtual run through of one of the coaching sessions that might be of interest to you. So let us know what you think, and we'll send you all those references as has been requested. Thank you everyone for joining us today. A big thank you to Janine, hands up to her, and look forward to presenting another one of these webinars in the near future. Bye.